Travis Alexander was finally getting over a messy breakup with his previous girlfriend. He was putting himself back out there and started dating this new girl that he really liked. He'd also been planning this super sick vacation in Cancun with his friends. But what Travis didn't know was that he was never going to make it to Mexico that weekend. And instead of snorkeling with the dolphins, he would be sleeping with the fishes. When Travis Alexander missed a work call that he should have been leading, his coworkers and friends thought something was off. Travis was also supposed to meet his friends in Cancun for a vacation a few days later, but when the day he was supposed to arrive rolled around and he hadn't shown up at the resort, his friends started to panic. They called his coworkers in Arizona and asked them if he could go back over to Travis's place to check on him, and they did. But once they asked Travis's roommates where he was, they were told that Travis had left for a trip to Cancun a few days ago. And the coworkers were like, not according to his friends. And the roommates were like, oh, say what now? I feel like it's really weird that his roommates didn't know what day Travis was actually supposed to leave. But he also traveled a bunch for work and would sometimes stay at his friends' places. So he was kind of hard to keep track of. Anyway, the coworkers asked to check out the house just in case. But when they went inside, they found out that Travis's door was locked, which sounds sketchy, but it was actually pretty normal. So whenever Travis would leave for a trip or something, his roommates said he would lock the door to his master bedroom so no one would mess with his stuff. Sounds like something I would do. Since his door had been shut and locked for a few days, the roommates just assumed he left for vacation. But when the coworkers found the key to the master bedroom and finally got inside, let's just say I hope they got a hefty raise that year to afford all the therapy that they would need. There were streaks of dark red and brown stains on the floor, drag marks leading from the bedroom to the bathroom, and Travis's lifeless body crumpled up in the shower. When the cops got there and asked if they know anyone who could have done this, all the friends unanimously respond with one name, Jodi Arias. Let's go back in time to when Travis met Jody at a convention in Las Vegas. At the time, he was 29 and she was 26. Travis was the clean-cut Mormon dude who worked as a motivational speaker, and Jody was this cute, blonde, free-spirited photographer. The two hit it off immediately, and Travis invited Jody to be his guest at a special dinner that night. Travis and Jody must have had a great dinner that night because they talked until 4 a.m. He was a boy, she was a girl. Can I make it any more obvious? He was a Mormon and she did photography. What more can I say? Hashtag not my Avril. So even though Travis lived in Arizona and Jody lived in California, the lovebirds were able to make the long distance work by meeting halfway at a mutual friend's house in Murrieta. Travis's friends started to see red flags in the relationship, but Travis was falling for her hard and totally missed all of them. I mean, doesn't everything look red when you've got those rose-tinted glasses on? The friends started to note some dangerous behavior from Jody and told Travis they were concerned for his safety. One of Travis's pals literally told him that he was afraid he'd find Travis chopped up in a freezer one day. Also, how do you even respond to that? Hey dude, thanks for the heads up. Really appreciate it. Early on in the relationship, it was clear that Jody was obsessed with Travis. About a month into the relationship, Jody actually converted to Mormonism for him, which, as you know, is not one of the easiest religions to just pick up and join. But even though Jody was now saved, Travis still really struggled with his faith when he was with her. The couple was regularly beating the batter, which is a big no-no in Mormonism if that's going on before marriage. Travis's friends also noted that Jody was pretty possessive of her mans, like she would get extremely upset if he talked to other women while they're out in public. She also always needed to be next to him. Apparently, if Travis even went to the bathroom, Jody would go all the way with him and stand outside the door until he was done. Did someone get a helicopter? Oh no, that's just Jody. She also did this cute thing where she would forward emails to herself that Travis had with other women just so she could read them. I think I'm just gonna read all of my lover's long, boring work emails chains as a little bedtime treat. Jody's behaviors continued to get more odd and intense, where even Travis was starting to feel a bit uncomfortable with her around friends. One night, Travis was hanging out in a jacuzzi with Jody and some of his friends, and apparently Jody couldn't keep her hands off of him. She was like straddling him and getting super handsy and inappropriate. It got so intense that Travis had to physically push her off of him and yell at her to stop. I mean, hot tubs can be pretty steamy, literally and figuratively, but don't forget, these people are Mormon, so that wasn't really allowed. Finally, Travis's friends sat him down and told him that Jody was bad news. They expressed concern that his relationship with Jody was going to get him in trouble. As the friends were telling him this, they stopped him and were like, yo, she's probably like outside the door listening right now, like she always does. But Travis is like, what? No, that's ridiculous. So one of his friends then walked over and whipped open the door to reveal Jody standing there, leaning in with what his friends described as an evil face. You just don't date women like that. Well, after 5 months together, Travis finally realized that his friends were right and he decided to break up with Jody. And that's when all hell broke loose. Jody stalked Travis for months. She was constantly showing up at his home in Arizona unannounced and wouldn't stop calling and texting him. She also let herself in through his garage because she knew the code. But even after Travis changed it, Jody found a way to get inside. How? By crawling in through the doggy door. So that's who let the dogs out. Travis tried to move on from his cray-cray girlfriend and started dating around with other women, which Jody did not like that at all. Jody would literally hack Travis's social media, send harassing emails to his new girlfriends, and even slash his tires every once in a while. Okay, literally checking my email is already stressful enough. Can you imagine checking your inbox and it's like, subject, if I can't have him, no one will. And then right below is an email about your annual dental checkup. The horror. So Travis began dating this new woman named Lisa, and of course when Jody learned about her, the claws came out. Jody tried to scare Lisa by running around her house at night, knocking on her doors and windows. Yeah, she was trying to scare Lisa like the freaking boogeyman. So despite Travis's new relationship, he still had a thing for Jody. Jody was his kryptonite, and while he may have been dating new people, the two were still seeing each other in secret and texting every day. Eventually, the passionate affair came to an end when Travis got in a text fight with Jody and called her a sociopath who was at the lowest of lows. So now that you know the backstory of Travis and Jody, let's travel forward in time to June of 2008. Right before Travis's vacation that never was. And at the time, Travis had a girlfriend named Mimi, who I'm sure Jody hated. Okay, so that month, Travis planned to go on a vacation to Cancun with friends, but because of an important work call he had to lead, Travis said he'd meet the crew at a resort a couple days later. Travis's friends in Cancun had been texting him one June day, asking what activities he wanted to do while they were there, but they couldn't seem to get a response from him. He missed the work call he was supposed to lead, and never checked in for his flight. And well, you guys know the rest. On June 9, 2008, more than a year after meeting Jody, Travis's body was found covered in bruises and bullet wounds. Officials determined that Travis had passed on June 4th, which meant he was literally sitting there lifeless in his own house with all of his roommates there for 5 days. The cops saw the scene in the hallway and knew that there was a major struggle and that it was deeply personal. Whoever it was, they wanted him gone. Around the scene, they found multiple long brown hairs, a palm print on the wall, and a camera in the washing machine. Within hours of Travis's body being found, Jody called the police to ask about the case. Officials asked Jody if she had seen her ex recently. She told them that she spoke with Travis briefly on the phone on June 4th as she was driving to Utah to see her new boyfriend, Ryan. Jody also denied ever being in Arizona the day he was attacked. When the memorial was held for Travis in Arizona, Lil Miss Jody rolled up to the service. While she was in Arizona, she gave her fingerprints to the police before heading back to her home in California. Well, not long after that, the detectives found a match for the palm print on the wall. It was Jody's. But believe it or not, that wasn't even the most incriminating piece of evidence the cops had against Jody, because they were able to recover the photos on the memory card from the camera found in the washing machine. And on the card, they found photos of Jody and Travis together that were time-stamped on June 4th, the last day that Travis was ever seen alive. So while your headphones definitely won't survive a trip through the washing machine, somehow a camera memory card will. But I highly recommend you don't try this at home. So the cops went to California and brought Jody in for questioning. They also talked to Ryan, Jody's new boyfriend, who said his boo thing hadn't arrived in Utah until June 5th, a day after she was originally supposed to show up. Ryan also told detectives that he couldn't get a hold of Jody that whole day, like her phone just kept going straight to voicemail. But Jody told officials that her phone had died and she got lost, so she spent the whole night driving around trying to figure out where she was. The cops then asked Jody if she knew about her grandparents' recent break-in, where the only thing that was stolen from the house was a firearm that just so happened to match the caliber to the casing found on Travis's bathroom floor. Jody was sitting there adamantly denying that she ever was involved in the crime. The cops are literally holding up the photos of Jody and Travis timestamped on June 4th, and Jody was like, sitting there, I don't know what to tell you, I wasn't there. The detective was even quoted saying, no matter how much evidence I would tell her about, she was not going to admit that she was even there. But after a night in jail, Jody's story began to change. Her new claim was that she did in fact go to Travis's house. She said that she showed up around 3 in the morning and slept with Travis. Once he woke up and got in the shower, Jodi apparently started taking photos of him. Because, photography is her passion. As Jodi was taking these photos, 2 masked intruders suddenly burst through the door and began attacking her and Travis. Jodi said it was a man and a woman that were both absolutely hell-bent on taking out Travis. She claimed the intruders threatened to slay her and her family if she told anyone about what had happened. So she left as fast as she could and never looked back. Of course, the cops didn't buy this story one bit. They knew that Travis didn't have any other enemies in his life besides his crazy ex-girlfriend. There was also no physical evidence of anyone else having been in that room besides Jodi. So they brushed off her story and took her to trial. But Jodi's trial didn't begin until January 2013, so she was big chillin' in jail for 4 years while waiting to take the stand. And when she finally did, long gone was the story of the intruders. Now, Jodi dropped a news story where she claimed she pulled the trigger in self-defense from the man she loved so dearly, Travis Alexander. She said that Travis was attacking her because she had dropped her camera, so she finally had to defend herself. Oh my God, this girl. For days on end, Jodi testified that Travis was this violent man with an insane temper who assaulted her on several occasions. Also said that she found inappropriate pictures of children on his computer. Police, of course, found no evidence for any of this to be true. Travis had no history of a temper or physical assault in any of his past relationships, and no incriminating photos were found anywhere in his home or computer. His friends, family, and coworkers also testified about what a solid guy Travis was. They said his faith meant a lot to him and believed Jodi was telling a bunch of lies to try and paint herself as a more believable victim. Where was this person who was slashing tires and stalking girlfriends just a few months ago? The nerve of this woman. Travis's brother Steven said that Jodi's mission was to basically take out Travis again by destroying his reputation. He said the self-defense story was a joke and claimed his brother didn't even own a weapon. 2 different juries couldn't decide whether or not Jodi deserved capital punishment. After all was said and done, she was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison, without the possibility of parole. But before she was sentenced, Jodi stated, "To this day, I can't believe that I was capable of doing something that terrible. I'm truly disgusted and repulsive with myself. I'm horrified because of what I did, and I wish there was some way I could take it all back." Today, Jodi still sits in Perryville Prison in Travis's hometown of Mesa, Arizona. According to fellow inmates, Jodi is not very well liked because she's always flirting with the guards to try and get special treatment. Some things never change. In 2016, Jodi gave an interview talking about what her daily life was like in prison. She said, "It's all good. If this is what it's like to be hated, then keep hating. I've had so much love coming in my direction, I can't even respond to it now." While in prison, Travis's villainous ex-girlfriend has shifted her focus from her photography to illustration. In fact, you can purchase her artwork straight from the cell to your home on her website, artbyjodiarias.com. And most of the money goes straight towards her appeals. So, if you think she's guilty, I'd think twice about purchasing. Apparently though, this girl's got quite a few supporters. There's a website called JodiAriasInstant.com where you can find the hundreds of Arias' fans who advocate for her innocence. I truly don't see how anyone could look at the evidence against Jodi and possibly think that she's innocent. But honestly, I guess that's just the way the cookie crumbles.